Corpus Hermeticum Book 11. Of the common mind to Tat. The mind, O Tat, is of the very essence of God, if yet there be any essence of God. What kind of essence is that? He alone knows himself exactly. The mind therefore is not cut off, or divided from the essentiality of God, but united as the light of the sun. And this mind in men is God, and therefore are some men divine, and their humanity is near divinity. For the good demon called the gods immortal men, and men mortal gods. But in the brute beasts, or unreasonable living being, the mind is their nature. For where there is a soul, there is the mind, as where there is life, there is also a soul. In living creatures therefore, that are without reason, the soul is life, void of the operations of the mind. For the mind is the benefactor of the souls of men, and works to the proper good. And in unreasonable things it cooperates with the nature of every one of them, but in men it works against their natures. For the soul being in the body, is straightway made evil by sorrow, and grief, and pleasure or delight. For grief and pleasure flow like juices from the compound body, where, when the soul enters, or descends, she is moistened and tincted with them. As many souls therefore, as the mind governs or overrules, to them it shows its own light, resisting their prepossessions or presumptions. As a good physician grieves the body, prepossessed of a disease, by burning, or lancing it for health's sake. After the same manner also, the mind grieves the soul, by drawing it out of pleasure, from where every disease of the soul proceeds. But the great disease of the soul is atheism, because that opinion follows to all evil and no good. Therefore the mind resisting it procures good to the soul, as a physician health to the body. But as many souls of men, as do not admit or entertain the mind for their governor, do suffer the same thing that the soul of unreasonable living things. For the soul being a cooperator with them, permits or leaves them to their strong desire, whereunto they are carried by the torrent of their appetite, and so tend to brutishness. And as brute beasts, they are angry without reason, and they desire without reason, and never cease, nor are satisfied with evil. For unreasonable angers and desires, are the most exceeding evils. And therefore has God set the mind over these, as a revenger and reprover of them. Tat. Hear, Father, that discourse of fate or destiny which you made to me, is in danger to be overthrown, for if it be fatal for any man to commit adultery or sacrilege or do any evil, he is punished also, though he of necessity do the work of fate or destiny. Hermes. All things, son, are the work of fate, and without it, can no bodily thing, either good or evil, be done. For it is decreed by fate, that he that clothes any evil, should also suffer for it. And therefore he clothes it, that he may suffer that which he suffers, because he did it. But for the present let alone that speech concerning evil and fate, for at other times we have spoken of it. Now our discourse is about the mind, and what it can do, and how it differs, and is in men such a one, but in brute beasts changed and again, in brute beasts it is not beneficial, but in men by quenching both their anger and strong desire. And of men you must understand some to be rational or governed by reason, and some irrational. But all men are subject to fate, and to generation, and changes, for these are the beginning and end of fate or destiny. And all men suffer those things that are decreed by fate. But rational men, over whom, as we said, the mind bears rule, do not suffer like unto other men, but being free from viciousness, and being not evil, they do suffer evil. Tat. How do you say this again, Father? An adulterer, is he not evil? A murderer, is he not evil? And so all others. Hermes. But the rational man, O son, will not suffer for adultery, but as the adulterer, nor for murder, but as the murderer. And it is impossible to escape the quality of change, as of generation, but the viciousness, he that has the mind, may escape. And therefore, son, I have always heard the good demon say, and if he had delivered it in writing, he had much profited all mankind, for he alone, son, as the firstborn God, seeing all things, truly spoke divine words. I have heard him say sometimes, that all things are one thing, especially intelligible bodies, or that all especially intelligible bodies are one. We live in power, in act, and in eternity. Therefore a good mind, is that which the soul of him is. And if this be so, then no intelligible thing differs from intelligible things. As therefore it is possible, that the mind, the prince of all things, so likewise, that the soul that is of God, can do whatsoever it will. But you understand well, for this discourse I have made to the question which you ask of me before, I mean concerning fate and the mind. First, if, son, you shall diligently withdraw yourself from all contentious speeches, you shall find that in truth, the mind, the soul of God bears rule over all things, both over fate and law and all other things. And nothing is impossible to him, no, not of the things that are of fate. Therefore, though the soul of man be above it, let it not neglect the things that happen to be under fate. And these thus far, were the excellent sayings of the good demon. Tat. Most divinely spoken, Father, and truly and profitably, yet clear this one thing unto me. You say, that in brute beasts the mind works or acts after the manner of nature, cooperating also with their inclinations. Now the impetuous inclinations of brute beasts, as I conceive, are passions. If therefore the mind do cooperate with these impetuous inclinations, and that they are the passions in brute beasts, certainly the mind is also a passion, conforming itself to passions. Hermes. Well done, son, you ask nobly, and yet it is just that I should answer you. All incorporeal things, son, that are in the body, are possible, no, they are properly passions. Everything that moves is incorporeal, everything that is moved is a body, and it is moved into the bodies by the mind. Now motion is passion, and there they both suffer, as well that which moves, as that which is moved, as well that which rules, as that which is ruled. But being freed from the body, it is freed likewise from passion. But especially son, there is nothing impassible, but all things are passable. But passion differs from that which is passable, for that acts but this suffers. Bodies also of themselves do act, for either they are unmovable, or else are moved, and whichsoever it be, it is a passion. But incorporeal things do always act, or work, and therefore they are passable. Let not therefore the appellations or names trouble you, for action and passion are the same thing, but that it is not grievous to use the more honorable name. Tat. Father, you have delivered this discourse most plainly. Hermes. Consider this also, son, that God has freely bestowed upon man, above all other living things, these two, to wit, mind and speech, or reason, equal to immortality. These if any man use, or employ upon what he should, he shall differ nothing from the immortals.